It's New Brew Thursday!
Yeah!
And we are in what is quite possibly the most beautiful cellar I've ever seen in my freaking life. This place it's like a medieval combination of Middle Earth, brings beer. It's like the Shire with like better beer. I love this place. I'm not leaving, by the way. I'm going to be sleeping over here in the corner. Just heads up.
We'll allow it for a brief while.
Eventually I will kick your ass out. But here we are with Matt Vandenberghe. This is your cellar. And our craft beer loving audience would know you because you are the owner and operator of Brouwer's Cafe and the Bottleworks store here in Seattle. And so is that a reason why you have the cellar, or is that an offshoot of having the cellar?
No, the cellar was a dream, that I've had for some time, but it mostly came out of the fact that we had too much space we were taking up at the both places. So
right on.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about some of the beers that you have in here, and some of the there's
and wine.
There's wine selection. There's just trying to come up with what we were going to drink on the show was quite a process.
Yeah, well, it's it's just a personal passion of mine, and I love both wine and beer, of course, as Doc knows. But this was a place that was built out of necessity and passion, and when you get that together, it just really goes something like this.
Vern has built one of the most beautiful cellars I've ever seen. It's just amazing in here. I love it. He always enjoyed my cellar, but he always had his stuff kept in Bottleworks in a cold room, in cases, and couldn't really show it off. And then he built this beautiful display cellar that's perfectly temperature controlled, has the running water for humidity. It's just beautiful, and he's got amazing beers here.
And so do you guys send little notes to each other competing on who has more bottles now?
No, but I'll tell you what impresses me about what Doc has done is he's taken the time to put beers away at different stages. And some beers go into the cabinet, some beers go in the garage, beers go underneath, some beers go up top.
Yeah.
And he will monitor and take full note of what's going on. And to me, that's interesting. And with this place, I did kind of a similar thing where we dug down and just basically are grabbing the cold ground temperature as a root cellar, as a very old, ancient way of just having a cellar for your canned goods and your
before refrigeration, you had to do that. So you had to cellar things, and because of the inclement weather during certain times of the month, and Vern's just taken it to a whole nother level.
Yeah. So we're going to be sampling 3 different beers from your cellar, and they're all pretty freaking amazing. Are we starting with this one first?
Yeah, let's go youth before age.
Okay, so we're doing an Old Woolly. This is from the Big Time Brewing Company in Seattle, Washington. Yeah. It's a vintage 2003, and it's a barleywine style.
It's one of the oldest breweries in Seattle. Do you know when they opened by any chance?
It's the closest brewery to this establishment, this house, and to me, it is Seattle beer done right and done the way it's been since I've been here.
We got
and
3 big
that I
ones.
like about it because it's been a consistent brewery, even though they've had many different wonderful brewers there over the years.
Did you have a connection to this brewery at one point?
Not officially, no. I have
Not
none.
officially?
None. Just that I've been a huge
Avid
patron.
fan and a patron, yes.
Cheers to
Cheers.
cellared beer.
So this is a beautiful classic English style barley wine. They've done this every year for, I don't know.
That's pretty good.
A dozen years, at least.
Yeah, it's drinking beautifully.
So
Big Time is a great brewery. I've loved it.
We just had their dark ale tonight, or dark days.
Dark Days. Their American Black Ale is what it'd be called now. It'd be a black IPA. And it was fabulous. We had it on draft at Bottleworks, your beer store that serves draft beer.
yes, we do now.
But yeah, this is a beautiful barley wine, classic, rich, malty notes. And of course, with age, 6 years, it's picked up all these great characteristics. Malty notes, winter fruit, fig, raisin, plum.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
For as old as it is, it's got a fine carbonation level too.
Yeah, no,
Great
they
head.
do.
It's held up really well.
They've
Yeah.
done a great job. And I know Vern
just
squirreled
looks-
away cases of every year going on back. What's the oldest bottle you think you have of this?
Probably about I don't know, maybe 15 years old.
Yeah, I was going to say, they've been around for a while.
Actually, no, that's not true. 21 years old. Excuse me.
Nice. Because I was going to say, I want to say when I lived
89.
here in 89,
In fact,
90,
it's right
91,
here.
I remember.
It has no year on it.
Oh, it's over there.
It's
You
the
can't
year
quite
before
find it.
90. So
But,
89.
I thought so
89, right
because
on.
I wanted to say that they were just opening when I was living here from 89 to 91.
Okay.
And that's why I was saying they're one of the oldest. You had Pike's Brewery, of course, that Charlie and Rose started.
Charles and Roseanne.
They started, who Charlie's famous with Roseanne for starting Merchant de Vin, which is one of the first great beer importers in the country. Brought
Certainly.
in Samuel Smiths and Orval.
Thank God. That was.
Was it Orval? They brought in Orval, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Orval and quite a few other ones. And then you had, who did Ballard Bitter? Red Hook.
Yeah, sure.
Red
of
Hook
course.
before they fell under the dark cloud. That is the...
Well, that was kind of happening at the same time. You had some new exciting emerging from Seattle. At the same time, imports were taking off. It was great.
right over there by Brouwer's is Ballard, right? Fremont and
Fremont,
Ballard.
Ballard.
And Ballard, I used to drink a beer called Ballard Bitter, which was a great Red Hook, just bitter English style
Right.
ale that was really fabulous and it was really great at the time. And you know, it's just a neighborhood beer. But I love this beer.
This is phenomenal. Yeah.
It just looks.
It looks.
Like a
It looks
sticky
like
barley
it's,
wine.
well. It looks
It's
as
got-
fresh
It's an
as
English
the day
style
it was
barley wine.
bottled, but it's aged so well.
Yeah,
It's
the
perfect.
color is nice as well. I mean, it's a really.
So this cellar, you know, it's extensive. It's beautiful. I mean, you put a lot of love and effort into this. You
know-
have, I don't know how many bottles you have now, Vern. It grows every time I've come in.
but you can see them all.
1,000.
You can
they're
decide
all
what
on
you want
display, and that's what's really nice.
by just looking around.
And believe me, I
It's
do.
sort of like Willy Wonka's
Vern says
chocolate factory for
he
beer.
wants to lock the door when I come, but he can't because I don't lock the door on mine.
I wouldn't dare
So-
leave you in here for that long.
Yes.
Nice.
But
So what got you into craft beer? What was what's your epiphany story, so to speak?
Since I was a child, I've been going to Belgium, so I was kind of a little bit more aware of some other
Your
things before.
father comes from Belgium?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Belgian heritage,
Belgian
second
heritage.
generation,
So it just
American.
by the
American.
time I was of age, drinking age, I was working in a brewery and washing kegs and trying to get an understanding of beer culture in America. And as soon as I knew what I wanted to do, it was basically catered to everyone to carry the best selection and treat the beer as
Right
as
on.
best as you
Treat
can.
treat the beer with respect,
Yeah.
which is
So-
what.
Temperature control, light control, and price control.
By the way, if you hear Vern, that's Matt's nickname, Matt Vandenberghe, Vern.
This is a 1998 Thor's Hammer, also a barley wine, from the Hagar's Brewing Company. Which
Yeah.
does that even exist anymore?
I believe. I hate to say no, but I think no.
Yeah, I don't think they're around anymore too, but that's
Because I don't think I've ever heard of them before.
I know the beer's not. It hasn't.
This
been
is kind of like
available.
it's going on the Willy Wonka theme. This is the golden ticket.
What's the ABV?
The ABV on this is 12%.
Yes.
So this is
pour
gonna be
away,
a
sir.
And it's
crazy beer.
It's every bit as exceptional as the Allure.
I almost feel bad opening these. Like
They're here to be shared.
it doesn't want to be opened.
No, you must drink them in
We're
their
beer
prime.
connoisseurs, so this is what this is all about. Look at the muddiness of that. That is just great.
So this is brewed by Cellar Hagar's Pub Incorporated. So Hagar's Brewing Company, North Vancouver BC.
Yeah.
So this is a British Columbia. I didn't realize that they had a craft beer scene that early.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah, I remember.
I hadn't either until my friend Andrew was driving up there regularly for this beer.
Right on.
So
This is way, way darker than I expected it to be.
it was worth its weight in trade, that's for sure. We had
This is insane.
A lot
It's
of
got
those back in the day.
huge prune. It's just like liquid prune, but in a good way, and it's just
Right.
so intense, and it's got this residual sugar, the sweetness that has come in, and just it's beautiful.
For a beer this old, yeah, it's quite. I don't detect any off flavors, no oxidization. Really.
Yeah, it's held up really well. And this is
Well, no, there's definitely oxidation, but you don't get that overwhelming oxidation. There's definitely some oxidation in this beer, just so you guys know.
Well,
but it's just complements it.
well, yeah. I
It
mean,
just
a beer.
adds to the
Well, a
winter
beer
fruit.
this big with this much malt.
It's
background.
the least offensive of
No,
any
it's not
oxidization
offensive,
I've ever had.
but you know what?
In a beer this.
I'm a proponent of oxidation occurring in barley wines and old ales. I
Well-
want it to occur. I actually
Sometimes.
cellar control some of my barley wines and old ales that I have a lot of to have early oxidation, because I think it's a beautiful complement to the winter fruit notes.
Now, when you talk about oxidation, you're not talking about the wet cardboard.
Well,
flavor.
oxidation is classically wet cardboard,
Right.
but when you're talking about big fusel alcohol notes at 12%,
Right.
barley wine,
It's a different
residual
flavor profile
sweetness.
that you're going for.
No, well, it's that thing, but what happens with the oxidation, it's minimal, first of all, okay? So it's not like this totally oxidized beer. So it's got minimal oxidation, but what it does, it complements all the flavors, and it brings out this total roundness and melding of the flavors, and it's a component. It's like drinking old sherry or Madeira. They have oxidation occurring, but what they bring out is this wonderful mouthfeel, and it's just all a part of the component from the bouquet on in. So.
Sometimes it can be hard to get away from. That's for sure.
This is
But
lovely.
this certainly cuts through any bit of that offensive.
Yeah, it's so soft. It's such a great creamy mouthfeel.
Yeah.
And you get that prune, and now it's just went back to those winter fruits again, and they just play so well. It's like that perfect. What's the cake they always send out at Christmas that everybody trades from one to another as a joke? The fruitcake.
Fruitcake, yeah.
It's got like all these fruitcake notes,
Yeah.
all these spices. And it's
Yeah,
just-
that little bit of rum in the back
Yeah.
end, and yeah, totally.
Yeah, this totally.
It's funky.
Yeah, it's good. Now we're gonna pour one of my all-time favorites. And
Hair of the dog.
you wanted to pour this earlier.
Well,
it's-
because I assume this is like, because this looks like a recent bottle of beer.
and
This-
what batch is that?
26. Batch 26, Hair of the
What's
Dog
anything about it?
Adam.
December 2nd, 1997, and it was actually bottled the day before Christmas Eve.
Really?
Yes. So it's 1997. So it's the oldest bottle. That's why I put it in that order.
Okay. I stand corrected.
Yes.
And Adam, let's pour that. This is based off a style that was brewed in Dortmund early Reinheitsgebot time. But Dortmund was a city state, and so they brewed an old ale, and this Adam beer was a style of beer. And so this was the very first style that Alan Sprints from Hair of the Dog ever brewed. As a matter of fact, this was his first beer in his lineup.
Wow.
A lot of people think it's Fred. It was Adam. But I love this beer, and 13 years old.
Oh, it's
God,
So
that's
good.
phenomenal.
Perfect. He brewed this originally, and it was considered a dessert beer.
Yeah.
Because not a lot of people were doing 10% beers back in 1997 in the craft beer
And
community.
this is an old ale?
Old ale. Well, no, it's an Adam beer. It's a style all of its
Adam's
own.
a style of its
Correct.
own. Okay.
It's
It's
an
a
old
style.
world ale.
It's an old world ale.
It's an old world ale, and it's a style all its own. It's a Dortmund ale.
Okay.
it is a dork.
And
dork.
it's really great, sweet, even sweeter than the barley wines, but with this roasty notes in it. It's kind of a really unique style. Great with cigars. That's why I'm smoking this beautiful cigar right now. I've known you for how long, Vern? 10 years.
At least 10 years.
10 years.
Yeah, we met doing a backroom tasting at the Tornado. As a matter
Doc
of
was
fact,
pouring.
Anytime he ever says, like, oh, I was at this backroom tasting, I just always get this weird, like, eyes wide
Sounds
shut
kinda
thing
weird.
where it's
Yeah,
like
you know?
masquerades and they're all naked in these weird robes.
The
and-
funny thing is it couldn't be farther from that. It was one of those things when I was younger and I was, I was barely of age and barely knew what great beer was truly about. My friend Andrew and his father would go to Tornado for the Barleywine Fest, and I remember hearing stories, and I was like, I have to go to this thing. And a couple years later, I was there, and the next year, met David Keane, and next year we were having beers with Doc in the back room. So one thing led to another, and now tomorrow we're going to put on the Keane tasting.
The Keane tasting,
which I call the Keane tasting, which is a backroom tasting, which is going on
Is
during
that tomorrow or Sunday?
Sunday,
2 days.
Sunday, okay.
which occurs during the Barleywine Fest.
Right.
We need a place to get away and go.
Right.
So
Doc has been warning me about this for the last week, about how I will be drinking beer after beer after beer, and I'm very excited about it.
It's
quite frankly,
hedonism at its finest.
right
There's
on,
no question.
right on. Now because of the way we're filming this weekend, we're doing this show before the Hard Liver Fest. We're doing this show before the Brouwer's Cafe, so our audience has probably already met you, even though we have not technically formally introduced you to the camera yet. So, but I just want to say thank you very much for having us up here, having us into your cellar, opening your home. The Barleywine Festival, I know, is just going to be amazing. So
We'll see tomorrow.
yeah, I'm really stoked about it. And the Bottleworks alone, I haven't been to the cafe yet, but Bottleworks alone is a reason to come to Seattle and to buy beer. Like, it's definitely a reason to get up here, and you have an amazing collection of beer there.
Well, thank you for saying that. It's very nice. It's always nice to hear.
But thank you very much, and as always, stay safe and drink beer.
Cheers. Well, cheers.